think we'll ever be able to fully restore voter confidence in the system that we have set up?
Well, I think in a weird way, the way we're structured as a country, with voting systems being delegated to the states and the counties and the local jurisdictions, in a weird way, almost makes it difficult to hack, because there's no single total security in our elections or anything, and it really comes down to being vigilant.
I'll tell you what, Doctor, thank goodness you're in where you are. Tell everybody at UMBC we said hello, all right? Go Retrievers.
UMBC for the win.
All right, thanks, Dr. Cornell. We appreciate your input. All right, we're gonna check back in tonight with Mallory and Skylar in Annapolis with the Hogan camp. What's the latest there? Getting louder and louder every time we come to you.
It is. It really is. And you would think more crowded. Everyone is spilling out into the hallways, into the lobby of the Westin here at Annapolis. I just saw the communications director for the Hogan campaign. He said no update yet as to when there will be an announcement in here. So still, the party right now doesn't really yet know that Governor Hogan has been declared the victor in this race.
That's right. The Associated Press has confirmed Larry Hogan as the next governor of Maryland, winning re-election, the first time this has happened since 1954. So this is significant in and of itself that this has happened. It's taken more than 50 years, but it's happened again, and that shows you that the people of Maryland are satisfied with what Governor Hogan has done for the last 4 years, and they want to see that continue again heading into the next 4.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, Governor Hogan has been asked many times before, what can constituents expect in his second term, and he said much of the same, really, that he's still going to have a focus on business, on violent crime, on the environment, and on education. We had those 2 constitutional amendments, one involving the education lockbox,
right,
and another on same-day voter registration. Both seem to be in the lead right now, pushing towards a yes.
Right, and obviously with the education part of that, and you talk about that lockbox, and we mentioned this before on our Facebook Live, is that how significant this lockbox is, the Hogan lockbox, right? And what it is, for those of you that don't know, is so basically all the money that comes from casinos and gambling and things like that is supposed to go through or go to K through 12 education, and this lockbox is supposed to help kind of prevent the siphoning of that money to go toward other expenditures throughout Maryland and ultimately go to the children, and so that's extremely important in and of itself.
And that confirms how much of an issue school funding is to people living in Maryland. I also want to look at some of the advantages that the governor had in this race. He was very popular in the state, even though he is Republican, and the state is at least 2-1 Democrat to Republican registered voters. But in terms of fundraising, he outraised Ben Jealous. He outspent him. So the latest campaign finance reports showed Hogan had $3.3 million cash on hand. Jealous had $276,000, and of that, Hogan spent $6 million on media alone. So for all of those television ads you've been seeing, a lot of that money went into that. And Facebook.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very friendly people here.
Yeah, I know.
But as I was saying, Facebook, Governor Larry Hogan spent $190,000 on Facebook. Challenger Ben Jealous spent $3,000.
Yeah, and you know what though, Mallory? I think that in and of itself shows what type of campaigns these 2 organizations were running, right? These were Jealous and Hogan. You mentioned earlier that Jealous kind of had to spend a lot of his campaign dollars early, right, against those candidates that were vying for that Democratic position to go against Governor Hogan. And after July, that kind of fizzled out, right? And so Governor Hogan has kind of been by far ahead and away in terms of campaign spending and things like that, and it's noticeable, obviously, through advertising and things like that, but then also with the message. I think a lot of people said that they actually like what Governor Hogan is doing, and why rock the boat if nothing bad is happening.
And in hearing from Governor Hogan's campaign chairman, Tom Kelso, I want to say 45 minutes ago, as soon as Hogan was elected governor back 2014, that's when they started fundraising for his re-election campaign. They said in total they raised $37 million, and their strategy was to fundraise early and fundraise hard. They had more than 400 fundraising events in over the last 4 years.
And you know what, Mallory? That shows. And what's interesting about this particular re-election, and we talked about this, is that Governor Hogan gets support from both sides of the aisle here. You actually spoke with a judge, was it?
Yeah, federal district court judge, Democrat, who said that him and Larry Hogan go way back. He has a lot of Democratic friends, and they also support Larry Hogan. And speaking of judges, the next governor will have to make some judicial appointments to the Court of Appeals. That's a big deal, and it looks like Larry Hogan will be able to do that.
So you take all this into account, and you start to think about where Maryland could be for the next 4 years. Governor Hogan has made mention before that he wants Maryland to be open for business. We talked about some of the things that are coming to the state that he's already worked on in terms of the economy and the environment as well. I think a lot of people have expectations of Maryland to thrive in the next 4 years, or continue to thrive, I should say. And I think Governor Hogan, his message has been a big part of that.
Right. Another issue looking ahead is redistricting. The state will be drawing new lines for 2020. The governor will oversee that. And, you know, tonight isn't over. We are at the Hogan camp, but this is very much a Republican Party and push as well. And the Maryland GOP, they've efforted this Drive for 5, where they want to flip enough state Senate seats to put an end to the Democratic supermajority. And that supermajority has allowed Democrats in the Maryland General Assembly for some time to override the governor's vetoes. So really their goal tonight, take 5 state Senate seats, flip them over. They kill that supermajority. They have more of a say in the General Assembly, and, you know, with a Republican governor, that's what they're really hoping to do, is have more of a voice this time around.
And that's going to be a challenge, though, because this state has been democratically run for so long. Mm-hmm. And so when we're looking back every so often thinking that we're going to get the announcement. Here we go. I think this might be it.
It looks like they're thanking everyone here and the hotel for their hospitality. This is the master of ceremonies behind us.
He introduced everybody in the room. Oh, come on, that was really funny.
We're trying to listen with one ear and out the other.
The band has to take a break.
Oh, okay, band's taking a break.
We're going to have another speaker come up in a little while, but just right now, enjoy yourselves. Have a great time.
Okay, doesn't look like...
There are a lot of news outlets that are already saying good things, and we're going to keep that positive attitude going. So let's hear some music, enjoy yourselves, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
So there you have it, right? It's still a wait and see.
Yep, they still haven't made the official announcement here just yet. Everyone here just kind of taking a break. So is the band Kanye Twitty. It's a very unique band. They're pop country, so they say Kanye's the pop side, Twitty's the country side. Great music tonight.
And they've had all the hits so far, right? So as far as what we're waiting for, right, which will ultimately be to hear from the governor about what he plans to bring into the next 4 years.
Right.
Also him talking about this process up until this point. I think we'll have to wait and see what he'll actually say. But the vibe, the energy, the mood of the room has been nothing but pure joy, I would say, since the doors opened here at 7 o'clock. Mallory made mention of the fact that there are 1,500 people that are here. We're tight like this in here because there's so many folks in here. But, and that's kind of what the mood has been like throughout this entire process, is that Governor Hogan, we believe in you. We're appreciative of what you've been able to do for the state of Maryland for the last couple of years, and so more of the same is expected.
We're also keeping our eye out for Congressman Andy Harris from District 1. We spoke with him earlier in the week. He said that he will be here this evening.
Right.
He is the lone Republican in Maryland's congressional delegation. So we're tracking that race as well.
And if it's okay, I'll step out of the frame here just for a moment.
We'll try to get an update.
Just to see an update on that particular race. At last report, we have Andy Harris up significantly. He's got 57% right now, up against Jesse Colvin. So we're still monitoring that race as well, but it's still, a little too early to call that race. It could be an upset there. Yep, as we made mention, Andy Harris up 57% right now. Jesse Colvin has about 42% of the vote, with about 18% of precincts reporting there. So we're still going to watch that race because it is so significant.
Something significant in that race, Andy Harris, 93,000 people voted early voting, 44,000 Democrat. 44,000 Republican, 36,000 Democrat. If you look at the statewide numbers, Democrats outvoted Republicans in early voting 3-1. So in this congressional district, for Republican Andy Harris against Jesse Colvin, more Republicans voted than Democrats. But that's just in early voting. Again, we're still waiting to see exactly how that race turns out.
So we're waiting for the announcement here. Obviously, we're going to keep monitoring it. And when it does happen, I'm sure this room will explode to an uproar of excitement. So, of course, we'll keep you all monitored of all that happening here. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. A lot of folks gathering in Key Highway, Baltimore. Eljah Cummings is speaking now. That was where Jeff Hager is. Let's toss it there now and hear what Eljah Cummings has to say. Okay, it looks like we do not have the shot of Eljah Cummings up, but I think we're going to go to that shortly. Here we go.
And ask the question. Grandma or granddad or great-great-grandma or granddad, they're going to ask the question, how did you all move from Obama to Trump? They won't understand it. But then after they get past that question, they're going to ask another question. So when you saw our president appointing someone to head the EPA who doesn't believe in science, when you saw him ridiculing the very foundational organizations of our country, the CIA, the FBI, and going on and on and on, when you saw him talk about women in a very, very wrongful way, when you saw the way he bullied, what did you do about it? And as I said to an audience the other day, it's one thing to be the head of the Apprentice show. It's another thing, listen to me, it's another thing when that person has the power to make policy. And to make policy that affect our lives on a day-to-day basis. And so we go back to make a difference. That is, we're going to have to look at what has gone on with this administration, and we're going to have to ask ourselves a question. We're going to, first of all, conclude that we're in a storm. Come on now, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. We are in a storm. The question will be, where will we be after the storm is over? Will we still have our house? Will we still have our health? Will our children still have the opportunities to be better than we did, do better than what we did? Will that be? Will we still have a democracy? And so we must go out there and we must defend this democracy with everything we've got. And I'm convinced that a lot of people have taken our democracy for granted, Dutch. They assume that every nation has this kind of system. And so they're taking it for granted. But let me be clear. Nobody in this room probably would be here if it were not for that democracy. Number two thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure we protect our constitutional rights. Come on now. We've got to protect them. We got to. And as all of us have concluded, we did not go to Washington to take away people's rights. We went there to expand their rights. And finally, we must do everything in our power to expand opportunities for people to become all that God meant for them to be, and expand opportunities for mutual respect, and stand up to anybody who would try to turn us against each other and make us enemies of each other. And so, to Kathleen Matthews, you have been absolutely awesome. Give her a hand, please. Kathleen has done a phenomenal job. And I thank, and finally, I thank all of you. I thank all of you for doing what you do. Yeah, they're going to ask the question. Somebody's going to ask the question, what did you do? And you're going to be able to say, I stood up. Some of you are going to be able to say, I went door to door. Some of you are going to say, I made phone calls. Some of you are going to be able to say, I gave my last $10. Some of you are going to say, I licked envelopes. I did whatever it was necessary to do. Some of you are going to say, I made some phone calls. But I meant to I made a difference. And so what we've got to do now is take all of this energy and understand. A lot of people tonight will say that this is the end of a road. No, this is not the end of a road. This is the beginning. And so may God bless you and thank you very much.
Elisha Cummings on his way to going back to Congress again.
That's
and
right.
John Sarbanes was right behind him.
And a lot of the names that we know well, Dutch Ruppersberger, Elijah Cummings, John Sarbanes, appears to be at this point, the races haven't been called, but a sizable league in their races.
All right, now let's go find out about Johnny O. And let's go right now to Eddie Kadam, who is live with the Johnny O. You talked to his dad earlier tonight. He's a longtime politician. Dad feels it, right?
That's right, Jamie and Kelly. I just talked with his campaign manager just a few minutes ago. He said Johnny O is here. He's watching with his family right now, and of course he's excited but anxious because he won the last election, the primary, by just 17 votes, so he's watching every single vote that comes in very intently. But his dad has been coming out and giving updates all night, going over some of the precincts and their results, talking about wins in Owings Mills and Chapel Hill so far. And in about 20 minutes he comes out. So right now, holding about 63% with about 5% of the precincts reporting, and it's still a very optimistic feeling here, and people all wearing their orange, all excited still at this point, but still a long way to go here. But for now, live in Towson, Eddie Kadam, WMAR-2 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Eddie, for that live report. You know, I know we're on Facebook Live, and just looking at some of the comments we have coming in on Facebook, one lady says that she voted today, and she was surprised that they didn't ask for her ID. She said that they only asked for her name and her address and where she lived, and they didn't ask for her ID.
All right. Well, she voted.
Yeah, she voted, and it looks like some of those votes mattered.
Yeah, that's right. I'll tell you what. Here's the interesting. When we get back to the Baltimore County race, the loss of Kevin Kamenetz really reshaped the race for county executive and for the governors. If we were talking with Patrick Gonzalez here today, and he said it would have been a whole different thing, and that's why Larry Hogan at the beginning, if you remember, was going after Kevin Kamenetz early because he knew to take the strong leader out first. And then the unfortunate death for Kevin
Kamenetz, and then it was kind of like in disarray.
Yeah.
Who was going to win? So many contenders at that point, and then it came down to Johnny O.
And then Don Moeller took over for Kevin, and Don did just an incredible job. I talked to him last week. I said, "Why didn't you run?" He said, "Because I thought we were going to be in Annapolis with Kevin." Wow. So he backed Johnny O, and it looks like he backed the right guy because Johnny O's got a big lead. But let's go now to Brian Kubler, who's with Ben Jealous' camp.
Hey, Jamie. So we still haven't heard from the campaign at all here, but now pretty much every news organization has called this for Governor Larry Hogan. He will be another two-term governor here in the state of Maryland. We spoke to Ben Jealous earlier this evening before he took the last 2 hours to try and get every possible vote he could. He went to a bunch of different polling places in Baltimore County and Baltimore City. He knew weeks ago, he knew months ago that turnout would be the case here. The more that they can run up voters in Baltimore and in Baltimore City and Prince George's County and Montgomery County, the old map in Maryland, then they would possibly be able to pull this out. But it just did not happen that way tonight, and that the Governor Larry Hogan will now become a two-term governor in the state of Maryland. We still have not heard from Ben Jealous yet. This room is pretty much kind of stopped filling up. There hasn't been an announcement. People are kind of milling about. But so far, we still don't really have any direction from the campaign so far. Guys?
Good question, Brian. Maybe you can answer. He hates when I pop these questions up to. Let me ask you this one. We saw Sarbanes, Ruppersberger, and we saw Cummings over at the camp of Ben Cardin. The Democratic stronghold in Maryland really didn't come out in full force. We're going to back. I know Ruppersberger supported them and endorsed them,
but it was
there
late.
wasn't. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of. I'm gonna. So, is it surprising that those guys are not at the jealous party right now, early?
I've been here in this city for 10 years. I've covered multiple elections. I would. That's probably something that I would note as well. Usually these things kind of happen together, but I haven't seen any notable Democrats in the room. Dave Chappelle did a lot of, the comedian Dave Chappelle did quite a lot of campaigning for Ben Jealous. We don't see him here either, but that could be for a whole other bunch of reasons. So you're right, I haven't seen kind of what we usually see kind of mobilizing behind a Democratic candidate for governor here in the state of Maryland. So it's kind of been doing their own thing here in the Hippodrome, but it's been a very sparse crowd even from the beginning, and it hasn't quite filled up.
All right,
Brian Cuber answering that for us. Thank you very much for that live report. Wow.
And the Andy Harris is pulling out now. He's looks like 2,600 lead. Yeah, 2,600 vote lead there right now. Sarbanes.
I don't think this will be the last that we'll hear from Colvin.
No, I mean that was
Army Ranger?
Army Ranger. David Trone. David Trone is, you want to talk about money. I mean, David Trone succeeding John Delaney, who was the richest man in Congress. And John Delaney won a district, and he's a congressman, and now he's going to run for president. He's already announced that he's running for president. But David Trone founded Total Wine and Spirits.
Okay.
And I think it was early October, he got sick, and he had to step back for a little bit and get better, and now he's really winning tonight in District 6. He'll be a congressman.
Brian Frosch taking a pretty commanding lead over Craig Wolf in the Maryland Attorney General's race, as well as some of the numbers start to come in. And Peter Franchot also taking a pretty commanding lead over Anadrol Buchan in the Maryland Comptroller's race.
And we've got, the House of Delegates race is really important because if Republicans start taking over in the State House, then Larry Hogan can do even more, getting the Republican majority there. So we'll see how that goes, but that's a long way off.
All right, we're going to take a look at some of the races as we go to break, and we will be right back. Voice your vote, the numbers coming in, and Johnny O is out taking a pretty commanding lead in the Baltimore County Executive's race.
Let's go to where he's hanging out right now. Here's Eddie Kadam. Everybody's watching, Eddie.
Looks like we're having some technical difficulty with Eddie, but he talked to his campaign manager, he talked to Johnny's father, and they're feeling confident, feeling good about the numbers that are coming in.
Former delegate, former teacher, you all said that, and he went into this race, and remember the primary night, it was close.
Yeah,
we had a three-way tie. We didn't find out.
So many candidates, right.
Yeah, it took several days, even weeks to do it. All right, let's go to the Redmer camp right now. Al Redmer is up against it. Here's Nadia. Nadia Singh.
Well, Jamie and Kelly, Kelly, a very excited group of folks here at the Redmer camp in Nottingham. Take a look behind me. They're very excited. I just spoke to the Redmer camp. They said they're very happy about Governor Hogan's win. They're hoping to ride that wave. They're hoping he did well in Baltimore County because they say that's going to bode well for Al Redmer. They say their polling workers are saying it's 55-44 for Johnny O, 44 for Redmer. Redmer says it was all about the issues. He was running on public safety, for better education, for better school safety and school infrastructure. He says that his experience speaks for itself and that the issues speak for themselves. Again, they're hoping to ride Governor Hogan's win here tonight in Nottingham. Back to you.
The polls have been closed now for close to 2 hours, and these election results are slow in getting in.
Very, very slow. And we're actually on the state and county websites, and still very, very dated information for Baltimore County executive race, only 5% reporting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's taken so long. So we're still with you here. And stay with WMAR-2 News for the very latest election results. We'll be back in about 25 minutes with another cut-in. But join us right now on Facebook. Board, and there are no results. There are no. All right, we are back here live on Facebook.
Fortunately, we have it set up with the Associated Press, and so we're bringing you the latest information as things are declared from the Associated Press, like we were able to tell you, like at 9:09, that Governor Hogan had been declared the winner. Come on in, have a seat.
Have a seat here. Welcome in. We got you all mic'd up and ready to go here.
Let's talk some social media.
Okay.
All right. Was it won or lost on social media, or what?
I don't think it's won or lost yet, but social media is definitely changing campaigns from now on. It's going to be quite different. Social media.
Now, is this a bigger pull, obviously, with millennials, or because we did see a lot of TV advertising this year, and I'm wondering if that's because of the concerns about Facebook and the whole.
Well, that's one thing that's going to change is you can't trust a lot of the information that you're getting, and people have to learn how to engage in political discourse better. But what really is changing is the small money donations that you can get. And so it hasn't filtered all the way down to, let's say, local elections and stuff like that. But a guy like Beto O'Rourke, who could outraise Ted Cruz, that's a social media phenomenon. Bernie Sanders was the first one, social media phenomenon, that all of a sudden the ability to run is going to be broadened.
Do you think we'll see the grassroots is now on social media then? That's where it's starting, right?
Absolutely. The grassroots in social media. Not only that, a lot of candidates can get attention by putting their ads up on YouTube and stuff like that, and they get national attention. That when you're looking at the coverage of, let's say, Amy McGrath, who just lost in Kentucky, there's no way we would have ever heard of an Amy McGrath 5 years ago or 10, but we can all watch her commercials now, and by having that kind of content accessible to everybody, all of a sudden there's this huge leavening that's going on.
So what's the danger with that, though, Mr. King?
The dangers are so many dangers, I can't even count how many dangers there are. You know that. But the first is the most obvious danger, which is lots of bad actors can put a lot of bad stuff up there, and a lot of very naive people will just sort of pass it on and say, "Oh, can you believe this? And can you believe this?" And you know, they're hacking this. They're stuffing the ballot boxes here and this and that and everything else, and it's just people don't know how to do that. You know, don't know how to evaluate information, can't evaluate information, and are getting that information from their friends because it's coming into somebody's feed. They like it, share it, that kind of thing. So it's really scary on that level.
What about the I voted sticker and the selfies that we're all taking? Does that motivate a populist to get out and do it if they haven't? Does that do anything? You didn't think about it. There you go.
You know, it seems like by the time you vote, like, might inspire some people to go out and stuff. I don't really think so.
Want to get a sticker?
I think the opposite. I think of actually, you know, there's huge turnout that they're saying on this election, and I think a lot of that is because there's that ongoing organizing, chatting, anger, dialogue, political dialogue, and part of it's because Donald Trump is such a controversial figure, but part of it is because you can talk about politics now without actually being face to face with the other people that you're talking about.
Don't even have to have your picture.
That's right, and you could just vent because how many of us really will talk about politics to people who we don't feel really, really comfortable with? If you're going to talk politics, you got to pretty much know what the other person's politics is. But you get up there and on social media, and you could just spat away, and people engage. And I'm always super shocked about what people say and how they engage, and how there's no filters, no limits, no etiquette, no nothing.
It's kind of scary, actually.
It's very scary. It's very scary, and we need a lot of education that's going on. Not to be naive, but I sometimes think I feel bad for Mark Zuckerberg, because when he was creating Facebook to get dates, to see what your relationship, he was not thinking about Russian bots, generating fake material, and a lot of it's not even people. A lot of it is just computer algorithms that are doing it, and we've taken exactly 0 steps to really sort of civically educate our population about what should you believe and what you shouldn't believe, and stuff like that.
How about a midterm? We were talking about this.
I was going to say, this was.
Have you ever seen midterms? We just sleep through.
But
usually,
not this one.
This one, no.
No, everybody's all stirred up. It's
It probably comes from the top.
Well, Donald Trump's stirring us up,
Right.
but everybody's stirred up. And the other thing is that the country is just so divided in weird ways. We always were sectionally divided. One region of the country vote this way, another region this way, another. Now it's just all urban-rural division. That rural areas all vote one way, urban areas all vote the others, and everybody in the urban areas going, what are those people in the rural areas? What are they even about? We don't even know who they are. They live out there somewhere else.
So we're all talking past each other, but now we're all typing past each other.
Exactly
in
right.
terms of a message. When Facebook first came out, it was family's photos, or so-and-so had a birthday. Who would have known that it would have evolved into what it is today?
Yeah, that's exactly right. There was no idea. It was just, and Twitter was just a short text messaging sort of thing. It was a fun thing. There's a great story about the invention of Twitter. It was the guy was at South by Southwest, and he tweeted that he was bored in some session that he was in, and that he was going to then go to some other session. And when he said, "I'm leaving this session to go somewhere else," and then like 15 people walked out with him, and it's oh, I got something, He didn't understand that this was going to be the mouthpiece for the President of the United States on how to use that. And over the 2 years that Donald Trump's been in office, nobody really knows how to react to, like, you see it now in the business news that Donald Trump will tweet something, and in the beginning of his administration it was like market would move and this and that, and now it's like, oh, okay, whatever. He tweeted it. We'll have to see what actually has to go.
Eljah King from Loyola, thanks so much for coming in.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, let's go down to Larry Hogan's winning camp with Mallory and Schuyler.
Hey guys, the band just started. We're joined now by Kiefer Mitchell. He is a senior advisor with Governor Hogan. He's also a former state delegate and Baltimore City Councilman. And Mr. Mitchell, we just heard that a number of outlets have called it for Governor Hogan. How are you feeling right now?
This is a very exciting night. Governor Hogan has made history here in Maryland. Not since 1954 has a Republican governor won re-election. And so the governor's going to come down here tonight. He's going to give a message continuing on the theme of bipartisanship and start to lay out his vision for the next 4 years. But this is a governor that preached bipartisanship, that hired a bipartisan staff, a bipartisan cabinet, and did what he said he was going to do.
What are some of the highlights for the next 4 years? I know we'll hear that from him, but can you expand
on that? The governor's going to sort of hint at that this evening. But this governor wants to continue to move our state forward. Everything from transportation to fiscal responsibility, things like that. But he's going to lay out a wonderful vision over the next few weeks, and you'll see that with a very robust legislative package moving forward. But this is a night to sort of take it all in and really celebrate what the governor has done, not just in 4 years, but with this campaign against a very formidable candidate.
What can you tell us about the strategy going into this campaign and what may have contributed to this victory?
Look, the governor's, strategy was from when he first put his hand on the Bible and made that speech on Lawyers Law when he got sworn in. And that was that he realized that this state is a majority Democratic state. But as a Republican governor, he had to work across the aisle. He couldn't control what was happening in Washington, D.C. He couldn't control what's happening with the President of the United States. He could control what's happening in Maryland. And so he set forth on that path to work across the aisle. The other piece is when he had his cancer diagnosis, that really resonated with a lot of people, the way he handled it with a lot of grace and dignity. And finally, how he handled the Baltimore City riots with very decisive leadership, where there was a sense of calm brought about the city, where many of us in the city appreciated that, but many people, not just around the state of Maryland, but the country, really appreciated his decisive leadership on that, and that stuck with a lot of folks on that.
Has the governor been paying attention to some of the state Senate races in terms of, trying to...
Sure, the governor campaigned very hard for the 5 senators and all. I'm not sure what all the numbers are projecting and everything like that, but this governor is really excited about looking to celebrate tonight. It's been a long campaign, but this is one of the hardest working people I've known, and it's well deserved on his part.
Great. Thank you very much. Congratulations are in order, right?
Absolutely. That's right. Congrats.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, so we are expecting to hear from the governor any moment. We are waiting I think he is waiting for a concession first from Ben Jealous, but we'll continue to monitor.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before we hear from the governor, and so when we do, I suppose we'll hear what his plans are, right, for the next 4 years, kind of hinting at what he has some ideas to do. But as you just heard, it's more of the same. More, better transportation, better things to bring business in to Maryland and things like that. We're kind of checking back to see if the governor's going to pop up on us at any moment, and it looks like they're going to in just a few moments. So,
well,
I think these are more of some of the campaign officials, so we'll keep an eye on it and let you know when the governor is expected to take the stage.
Well, we'll stay with you, but we'll stay with you there for. Listen, Brian Kuber is reporting that Ben Jealous is not conceding. He won't concede for a while.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
So we'll see what happens here. So, and two phone calls that Larry Hogan's not going to get: a congratulatory phone call from Donald Trump, or a phone call from Ben Jealous yet. So.
That's what it sounds like, right?
And Martin O'Malley will not be calling either. That's funny.
All right, guys, we'll check back with you in just a little bit. Actually, Jamie, we were talking about Governor Hogan and some of the state senators' races, and we were talking about Christian Melee, and it looks like he is running neck and neck with Catherine Klausmeyer.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and then he was the one who was all over the county with pictures with the governor on his billboards.
All right, Johnny O, who won that big primary, is have a big lead right now at a little after 10 o'clock. Here's Eddie Kadam.
Hey, Jamie and Kelly, I'm here with a campaign spokesperson, Sean Nairn. So, Sean, an early lead right now. What is the feeling like? Johnny's here, right?
We're encouraged by the results we've seen, but obviously nothing's been called yet. Johnny's upstairs talking with his wife and his campaign manager. He's reflecting on everything that's happened to this point. When you win an election by 17 votes, every single one you get means so much. And so we were really taking that moment to appreciate everyone who's come out to support this campaign.
The vibe here tonight, everybody seems to be having a good time and everything. It's been pretty consistently pretty positive.
We see hundreds of people who have come from across the county who believe in what we're doing here. This has always been about a better Baltimore County. That's never changed. That's from what he announced in Woodlawn to where we are tonight. So that's been the consistent theme, and we're proud of the diverse coalition that we've built all along the way.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Look forward to talking tonight.
Absolutely. And again, About 5% of the precincts reporting right now. Johnny O with that about 63% lead. We're going to continue to give you updates from here tonight, but right now, good news for this camp, and they are excited, but of course, counting every vote and continuing to watch those ballots come in. For now, we're live in Towson. Eddie Kadam, WMAR-2 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Eddie. Is it me or are these results coming in slow?
Yeah, I'm just sending notes right now. Why are they coming in this slow?
63 to 37% for quite some time with the Johnny O. Redmer race. Nadia Singh is at the Redmer camp where they're obviously waiting with results just like everybody else. And let's see what they're saying there in Nottingham today. She's been with the camp all night long. And they still seem to be very, very optimistic and positive, again, because such a small percentage of the votes are in at this point. So now we are going to toss to Nadia with the very, very latest. Nadia? Okay. I think we're going to get to Nadia in just a second. She is there in Nottingham, but okay.
Okay,
all
now
right.
she's ready.
We have it?
All right.
Tonight, the Al Redmer team. Jamie and Kelly, a big party here in Nottingham. The Al Redmer crew just really getting excited. I've seen people dancing. They're hoping to ride Governor Hogan's victory wave here. I just spoke to Al Redmer's spokesperson who says that the Maryland Board of Elections just alerted them, letting them know that they're not allowing precincts to reveal what their polling numbers are because there's still too many people in line at the polls in Baltimore County, in the city, and in Prince George's County. That's causing a lot of issues. We just heard Brian Kubler talk about how Ben Jealous won't concede to Larry Hogan because of this. So Redmer's team is on standby. They say they feel it's still a close race, and they're very excited to see what happens later on tonight. Back to you.
Complaining about the State Board of Elections not putting and posting their numbers. They have just done it. So now they've just updated it now. All right, we can go through it. Okay, early voting. Listen to this. Early voting with 44,549 voted for Hogan, 23,000 for Jealous. That was on early voting. That's almost a 2-to-1 margin right there. So right now he's leading 69% to 29%. These are updated totals now, and this is 88 of 195 election day precincts reported.
And it could be that they were waiting for all the polls to close. The longer you were in line at 8 o'clock, you were able to vote. So they're slowly coming in. Brian Kubler now with the Jealous camp when he had just indicated that he was not going to concede tonight. So Brian, what do you have for us? Is that true?
Yes. One of the campaign folks got on the stage behind me and addressed the audience here, which has dwindled some, and said that Ben Jealous is in the back and he's watching the vote count come in, saying that this campaign would not concede this race while people are still in line and waiting and voting in Prince George's County. Now, Prince George's County had a bit of a hiccup this evening, and it's kind of pushed everything back there a little bit. So obviously that's one of the big counties that this campaign was counting on to really ramp up the vote here at statewide. And so they were waiting for those people to be done voting before anything else was going to happen, in their opinion. There was some people that were clapping for that, but every other news organization, including ABC, has called this race for Governor Hogan. So we will sit and we will wait and see kind of what happens here and when or if Ben Jealous concedes, and then what should happen directly after that. Again, this race was all about turnout. That's all he would talk about is turnout, turnout, turnout. And he told us earlier today that he thought he had it, that there were going to be plenty of Democrats at the polls in Maryland to push him over the top. But it appears at this point that was not enough. Sans PG County that they are waiting for before anything official should happen from this campaign in this room in the Hippodrome here in downtown Baltimore this evening, guys.
You know, Hogan did it 4 years ago with early voting. He got out in front of Anthony Brown and never let up. And the same thing is true there, Brian. 2-to-1 lead here on early voting day. Can you believe that?
It was Democrats actually almost nearly 3-to-1 outvoting Democrats outvoting Republicans in the early vote. And obviously that was double 2014 totals. We're talking 661,000 and change came out to vote in early voting in Maryland, and 3-to-1 for Democrat. But that should you could look at that number and see, well, how many of those Democrats were voting for Hogan? How much ticket splitting was going on today in voting booths all over the state of Maryland in the last couple of weeks in early voting?
Okay, all right. All right, thanks a lot, Brian Kubler, live from the Jealous camp. I think we're going to go to Governor Hogan live. He is now speaking. So let's go to Mallory and Schuyler.
Wow! You guys are fired up. Been waiting a long time, haven't you? Wow, thank you so much. What a great crowd. What a great night. This is absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much. Thank you very, very much. They said it was impossible. They said it couldn't be done in Maryland. But thanks to all of you, we just went out and did it. Four years ago, you helped us pull off the biggest political upset in America. And I became only the second Republican governor elected in Maryland in 50 years. And tonight, in this deep blue state, in this blue year, with a blue wave, it turns out I can surf, and we had a purple surfboard. And so thanks to you, I just became the second Republican governor ever reelected in the entire 242-year history of our state. Thank you for making that possible. 242 years. Wow. Now let me just take a moment to thank Mr. Jealous for running a spirited campaign and for giving Marylanders a real choice. While we disagreed on the issues, he has my respect, and I sincerely wish him well in his future pursuits. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, hundreds of thousands of Democrats reaffirmed the wisdom of John F. Kennedy, who said, "Sometimes party loyalty demands too much." And to all those Democrats and independents who crossed over and cast their votes for me, I see some of them out there tonight. Let me assure you that I will continue to be a governor for all Marylanders. Tonight, the voters of Maryland put aside divisive partisan politics, and the people in our great state voted for civility, for bipartisanship, and for common sense leadership. Tonight they voted to keep changing Maryland for the better. And they showed us that what unites us as Marylanders and as Americans is always greater than that which divides us. Tonight, Maryland sent a loud and clear message to Washington that they will hear all across America. guys are having fun tonight. Look, I want to thank all of you who worked so hard to help accomplish I want to thank all of you who worked so hard to accomplish this seemingly impossible mission. Thank you so much for believing in us. I am deeply humbled by the trust that the people of Maryland have placed in me. Thank you for giving me this incredible opportunity to continue to serve. Now, there are far too many people to thank. I'd like to thank every single one of you here by name. But let me just start with my friend and my running mate, our fantastic Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford. He has been such a great partner and a major part of everything that we have accomplished together. And my other partner is pretty special too. She may be small in stature, but don't let that fool you. She is my pillar of strength. My beautiful wife Yumi has been an incredible First Lady for Maryland.
You're listening to Governor Larry Hogan giving his victory speech, declared the winner by the AP early tonight. Let's listen in.
Our entire outstanding campaign staff, let's give them a huge round of applause. And all our wonderful volunteers from one end of the state to the other. And our government team, the staff in the governor's office, our cabinet, and all the dedicated public servants throughout our administration who worked so hard for 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 years ago, I stood on the steps of our historic State House while I was taking the oath of office, and I said that the politics that have divided our nation need not divide our state. And I warned against wedge politics and petty rhetoric used to belittle our adversaries and to inflame partisan divisions. And I said to those who would drive us to the extremes of either party, let me remind you that Maryland has always been a state of middle temperament. Four years ago, we ushered in a new era of bipartisanship. We sought that middle ground where we can all stand together. And I'm proud that we're setting an example for the rest of America. I stand here tonight full of hope. Hope for our state, hope for our nation, and hope for a future that is brighter than the present and brighter than the past. Thank you all. God bless you. May God bless the great state of Maryland and the United States of America. Thank you.
All right, you're listening to Governor Larry Hogan, re-elected for a second term, the second Republican in the state's 242-year history to be re-elected. Governor Hogan started off by saying they said it was impossible, they said it couldn't be done, but thanks to all of you who are here tonight, we did it.
I was just checking, listen to this. I was just checking. In Baltimore County, he won 62% to 36% in Baltimore County. But in Prince George's County, Ben Jealous won 69% of the vote in Prince George's County. But again, Baltimore County came through for Larry Hogan there. We have some other tight races. Steve Shue, the incumbent, is getting beaten right now by Stuart Pittman in Anne Arundel County, 51 to 48%. And also Wes Adams, the incumbent, the state's attorney, is getting beaten by Ann Colt-Litis, 52 to 47%.
And another upset in Howard County. Looks like Alan Kittleman is losing 46% to 53%. to Councilman Calvin Ball.
And Anthony Brown is losing to George McDermott for Congress, 51% to 46%. And Al Peisinger is the new state's attorney in Harford County, replacing old Casserly, who is retiring after 80 years.
Look at that. Governor Hogan, all smiles tonight. We're going to continue to stay with you on Facebook Live, bringing you the very latest updates. Send you back to the networks, but we will be with you on Facebook right here, bringing you all of your local races. All right, you're back on Facebook now live. Governor with his grandchildren there all smiles. Victory tonight, making history.
Unbelievable. You know, you have to go back. Theodore McKeldin was the last time we saw a two-term Republican governor. And you know what? If you look at the two men, they're kind of modeled the same, because he was a moderate. I don't know, Democrat, but he got things done, McKeldin. And he was Baltimore City mayor, went to City College, University of Maryland, and of course, Larry Hogan's dad was a congressman, and even Larry Hogan's dad was instrumental in the Watergate hearings. He's the one that turned on Nixon, and that kind of started the fray there to get him out of office and to impeach him.
You know, and he did a very, very good job early on, I think, of separating himself from all of the divisiveness that we're seeing in Washington right now, saying that he's going to worry about and focus on what's happening here in our state of Maryland.
Well, let me tell you something. You know, they always talk about the October surprise, and we had the October surprise with the death of Jordan McNair, leading up to the investigation, and then the Board of Regents coming out saying that the coach would be coming back, and Larry Hogan stood up and said, I don't think that's going to happen. And Larry Hogan went after Jim Brady, and Jim Brady was Larry Hogan's campaign manager the first time out. So
had to take a stand.
There you go. So Hogan made sure that the coach was not coming back, and made sure that the Board of Regents, at least in his opinion, said they wanted to get it right.
That was almost called as quickly as the Ben Cardin race.
Yeah, Ben Cardin. He didn't even know this was coming.
No, and what did he say? After 30 years in office, he never had a race called this quickly, and didn't quite know what to come out and say.
Yeah, he's never lost a race. Barry Glassman is going to be your Harford County executive. No shock there. So there you go. All right, let's go out to Brian Kubler right now. Ben Jealous, you just heard.
Oh, sorry, guys. So yes, Ben Jealous has not conceded yet. Someone came out on stage a little bit ago and said that they wouldn't concede until everyone in PG County had voted. There has been an issue in PG County earlier tonight, and so there were people still in line, and they weren't going to concede. They were going to monitor the votes as they came in once PG County was done. So there's been no concession here. So we're kind of in a weird spot, because obviously we all saw Governor Hogan give an acceptance speech. So I was looking at the numbers coming in earlier over there in the corner, and the early vote came in at about 344,000 people voted in early vote for Hogan, to about 300,000 for Jealous. But today, okay, well, we're going live to another race, so I'll toss it back.
Okay, I think Brian's going to. Okay, all right, we're going to toss it now to Nadia Singh in Nottingham, when Al Redmer is conceding the race.
Job. So thank you to all of you that participated in that. And a big thank you to Hogan's professional team that was in Baltimore County, Tori Laird and Jason Stein. I think Tori's all the way in the back there. It does an absolutely phenomenal job. And I feel especially bad for those public sector unions that put their necks out on the line to endorse us, to endorse a Republican for the first time in history. Case the principals and administrators of our public schools, the Baltimore County sheriffs, the Baltimore County firefighters, the Baltimore County police officers. I thank you very much for that support. And then lastly, we have traveled all over the county. talking to folks about the issues that they're interested in. We met an amazing number of just incredible people, had a terrific time doing it, and it was my honor to be your nominee for Baltimore County Executive, and it's an experience I will never forget. Thank you.
All right, Al Redmer conceding, thanking everyone who supported him and everyone who he met along the way.
Yeah, he was. He's from Perry Hall, never left, and it's a tough one for him tonight. What a gentleman! I mean, they were two great guys that were running for a great office to succeed Kevin Kamenetz, and had Al won tonight, he would have been the first since Roger Hayden to be the Republican in Baltimore County.
I was going to say this actually opened up the realm for the possibility of a Republican county executive for Baltimore County.
All right, let's go out to Johnny O, and I think he's getting ready now. He said Al Redmer went first, and Johnny O will now take over. But what a job that Don Moeller did for Johnny O, getting behind the scenes. He was everywhere. Did you see that on Twitter and Facebook today? Don Moeller was like the cheerleader, leading the way.
Well, but he has been behind the scenes, so why not be out there? Yeah. No, we're actually going to go to Johnny O in a couple of minutes here shortly, but what a race.
Yeah, I'm even, and I'm going off because all politics is local, but I'm looking at some of there's a race on the Eastern Shore. Jim Mathias, who is a long-time
Ocean City
getting beaten
mayor
tonight. Yeah.
Oh, he's losing.
He's losing to Mary Beth Carroza, 54 to 45%. Jimmy has been Ocean City mayor forever, and then he went and became a state senator.
So he's losing in the state senator's race.
Now in the state senator's race. Looks like Andy Harris is ahead by 3,000. He's carrying Eastern Shore, as you can imagine.
But what they were saying is that whole little twisted area in that District 1 might have been where Colvin may have seen some pickup, but that the Eastern Shore area definitely died hard to Andy Harris.
Okay, and Prince, it looks like, to me, it looks like Baltimore County carried Larry Hogan. He lost Prince George's, and he lost Montgomery County, and he won everywhere else. Let me see what, he lost 55 to 43% in Montgomery County. Let me see what Frederick, because Frederick is the bedroom community now. Let's see what 69% Larry Hogan got, 69 in Frederick.
And still,
in Frederick County. Still
waiting to hear on this Howard County race. Alan Kettleman, that's a bit of a surprise, isn't it?
Wow, what is that again?
It is a 46% for Kettleman, Calvin Ball, 53%.
And Larry Hogan lost Baltimore City, 67% to 31% of the vote there in Baltimore City.
How did he do in Baltimore County?
Baltimore County, he won. Okay. He carried that pretty good.
And again, had we talked earlier, a lot of other Republicans were hoping to ride the wave.
Now, in Baltimore County 4 years ago, Larry Hogan scored 59%.
What did he do
this time, 62%.
So he went up.
Wow. So again,
did he go up or down in Baltimore City?
I don't know. I don't have that one.
Because I guess what I had heard, the biggest criticism of Hogan was the whole red line and concerns about Baltimore City schools, those that were opposed to Governor Hogan in his reelection.
Out in Allegheny County, Larry Hogan got 83% of the vote. Ben Jealous got 3,000 votes out there. Wow. That was it. And that's been called. 37 election day precincts have been reported there. Wow.
And all of the names that you know well, Elijah Cummings, John Sarbanes, Dutch Ruppersberger, all easily reelected.
All right, let's go back to Anne Arundel County here real quick, if you don't mind. I want to take a look here. Peter Franchot is going to win. All right, I think we're going to go to Eddie Kadam right now, who's with Johnny O, right?
Shortly, we're waiting for his. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah, that's right, Jamie and Kelly. I'm here right now. Sorry, guys. We're here right now. I was just told by his campaign spokesperson he's expected to come out any minute now. One of his spokespeople was just at the podium talking about how he's thankful for all of the supporters, all the volunteers, all the people that came out and voted. This is very much a party atmosphere right now. We're waiting on Johnny O. He's supposed to be out here any minute. We were told about 10 minutes ago he was going to be here. If you want to kind of see here, there were some people dancing behind me just a few minutes ago. A lot of hugs, a lot of smiles, a lot of happy faces right now. And here we go.
They can make their way up here to the front.
We've got an update. About 5 more minutes, guys. About 5 more minutes. Spokesperson just came over and told me that we're going to wait another 5 minutes here until he comes over. In the meantime, let me see if there's anybody here who I can grab to talk with us about, Al Redmer conceding tonight. And okay, well, we're gonna toss it back to you guys. Again, about 5 minutes away, Johnny O will be coming out and giving his speech. This will be the first time we've seen him. He's been here the whole time watching the numbers come in. Of course, the last election he won was only by 17 votes, so taking it cautiously but very optimistic and excited right now whenever those numbers officially come in, and he's going to be out here any minute.
All right.
Now live in Towson, Eddie Kadum, WMAR-2 News.
Okay. All right, Eddie, we're going to come back to you shortly, but let's go to the Hogan camp with Mallory and Schuyler, where the celebration really is in full gear still there. Guys?
I think that, if you look, the country's so divided now, and politics has gotten so angry, and I think people responded in Maryland to the fact that we put all that hostility and partisan anger aside and tried to work govern from the middle and work across the aisle, and people seem to respond to that, which is why hundreds of thousands of Democrats crossed over and voted for me.
We gonna get 270 and a beltway down to D.C. out of you?
Sure hope so.
All right, Governor Hogan just answering some questions. You see Schuyler and Mallory there listening in on the Governor Colvin talking about the divisive nature of the country, and obviously not the case here in Maryland.
As we talk in politics, you have a 2-term Republican governor now in an all-Democratic state. What does this bode for the future? Will the presidency start to infiltrate the State House in Annapolis? The talk that he could become a Republican candidate for the presidency. If he can carry a state like Maryland, is this the person that the Republicans are looking for, a moderate like this?
And, when asked about that question during the campaign trail, he would always say, well, I'm focusing on running the state of Maryland right now.
All right, we'll see.
Do we have Mallory and Schuyler? Okay, all right, okay, we're waiting on getting Mallory and Schuyler there.
I was trying to see who else. I think Allegheny County leads the way with 83%. I was trying to see if Hogan got any more than that, 83% in a county-by-county race here. In Carroll County, let me see what he got here. He got 83.8, so Carroll County leads the way now.
Look at Howard County. Calvin Ball, now 57%.
Wow, that is a big one.
Kittleman's 43%. Didn't see. Now that we have Mallory and Schuyler, we ready? All right, let's send it out to Mallory and Schuyler in Annapolis for a reaction there from the governor's comments tonight. And
yeah, Kelly, we are here. I just got caught up in the scrub trying to get with Governor Hogan. He's actually right behind me here, working his way throughout the room, shaking hands with supporters and also speaking with media about this historic re-election, I would say, Mallory. And just from what I was able to hear from the governor, he was excited about what all of this meant, right? To be able to put the left and the right aside and really create this bipartisan relationship between both politicians and voters here in Maryland. And as we've mentioned all night, a lot of people enjoy Larry Hogan, and they think that he is, the constant and the future for Maryland. And we saw that tonight as this election was called relatively early, and we're seeing that right now as people are surrounding this governor as if he were a celebrity here as he makes his way throughout the room.
Absolutely. I mean, he called this a seemingly impossible mission and said that 4 years ago at his inauguration that he said the politics that divided our nation need not divide our state. Maryland has always been a state of middle temperament, and that this should send a message to Washington that there's more that unites us than divides us. And I even heard someone in the crowd yell, Larry Hogan for president. Who knows?
And what he meant by that is, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, is that we've seen such a volatile and hostile political atmosphere for the last couple of years. And what the governor said during his remarks, and also as he made his rounds here, is that it shouldn't be that way. Obviously people will have different opinions and have different ideas for solutions, but there shouldn't be this rhetoric of division. Like, it should be everyone working together for a common goal whether that's the betterment of schools or in this case the betterment of the state as a whole. And I think the governor made that very clear during his remarks.
There's definitely a feeling of excitement, but there's also kind of this calmness. I know a lot of people who worked very hard on this campaign are just elated. We saw their victory dance not too long ago.
There was
people
there was
kissing,
some dancing,
hugging.
right? Yeah, just for sure.
Now the band's playing again.
Band's getting ready to
but
go
you
again.
can just see throughout the crowd where the mobs are gathered is where Larry Hogan is as he thanks his supporters and makes his way around the room.
Right.
And we saw on stage his wife, his children, his grandchildren.
Yeah.
They all came together. And, thinking about his governorship, it hasn't been without its struggles. He went through a cancer diagnosis.
Right.
Beat that. He was in the head with the Baltimore City riots.
Right.
He's also tackled the heroin and opioid epidemic.
Right. So I mean, it hasn't been lollipops and rainbows this whole way through. Obviously, it's presented all sorts of challenges throughout his time as governor. But as we've seen time and time again from the people here, they believe in him. So we'll continue to be here. We'll try to catch up with the governor one more time before it's all said and done. But we'll also have an update coming up for you on the news at 11. Guys, back to you.
Skylar and Mallory live at the celebration at the Hogan camp.
Yes, there you go. 4 more years for Larry Hogan in Annapolis. And again, we're continuing to watch other races here tonight that are very instrumental here. Of course, Anne Arundel County, we've got Steve Shue losing to Stuart Pittman right now, the Democrat, 51% to 48%. That's in Anne Arundel County. Now, tell me about the Howard County race so far.
Alan Kittleman losing to Calvin Bell. And that's kind of a shocker, seeing that he's the incumbent. We're actually waiting word now that Johnny O is about to take the Podomania moment now, as well as we're hearing that Ben Jealous is expected to concede any moment now as well. So as soon as those things happen, we will take you there live.
Okay, we saw that Baltimore City went for Ben Jealous, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Charles almost, but Larry Hogan carried all of Western Maryland. He carried Frederick. He really carried Carroll, Harford, Anne Arundel, and Baltimore County. And again, Baltimore County is a big player here now. And Jealous carried Baltimore City. Yeah.
Interesting comment from Carolyn Gamble, speaker, on our Facebook feed, saying that Hogan's commercials with average black people about his quick response to the Baltimore riots may have played a factor.
You think
and
so?
There's a lot of conversation about those. I think we see
Jealous.
Ben Jealous taking the stage now. We're going to listen in and hear what he has to say as he gives his concession speech.
I think I have to stand on my tiptoes here. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, you could do better than that. Thank you. My name's Susie Turnbull. And I am very proud that I was the Democratic nominee to be Lieutenant Governor with Ben Jealous. And while tonight may not have had the results we would have liked, or you may have liked, not at all. We love Ben. And we love every single one of you. We love you. And want to thank everyone in this room and beyond who knocked on those doors week after week after week, who made those phone calls, who wrote those postcards, who emailed their friends, and who organized and organized and organized every day of the week for months and months and months. And we thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. Tonight, before we came over here, my kids gave me this. It's a full heart. That's what it's called. And I stand here today with a full heart because of all that I gained from all of you and being in a race with Ben Jealous. Ben has taught all of us, every single one of us, what it means to be an organizer. He has taught every single one of us what it means to have health care, Medicare for all, what that could mean and should mean. He taught us what it means to understand that education should be the same no matter what zip code you live in. And he taught us what a civil rights leader knows more than anybody else, which is that every person, every single person has the same, should have the same opportunity, should have the same experiences, should have the same ability to succeed. And that's what he's taught me, and I think that's what he's taught all of us. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for both of us, and I want to introduce to you someone who has inspired us and inspired us and inspired us, and who by just being himself, brought so many people together. And I could tell you what we just heard from a good friend in the other room, and she said, "We're not done. We're not done." And I can tell you, I've been here before, folks. I've been here before, and I can tell you, we will be here again, standing up with all of you. But first, I want you to hear from someone who should have been the next governor of Maryland, and may be the very next governor of Maryland, Ben Jealous.
Love you guys. Love you guys. You know, I look out on the sea of familiar faces. Many of them not familiar over a year ago, but all of them familiar now. Look at the diversity in this room. Spirit amongst all the organizers who packed this room from wall to wall. And all I can say is this looks a lot like a Jealous family reunion to me. I want to thank each of you and our neighbors across the state for the incredible support that you all have given me in this uphill fight. We said it was like going from climbing K2 to Everest. With all the odds stacked against us, your support means a lot. I want to thank everyone who's been a part of our coalition on behalf of the entire Jealous Turnbull team. Just moments ago, I called Governor Hogan to congratulate him on his re-election. And to wish, over half the votes have been counted. And we've looked at those numbers, and it's right for us to concede. It was wrong for the networks to call it before anything had been published. But the numbers have been published, and it's right for us to concede. You know, General Colin Powell told me a long time ago, it's easy to figure out what we can disagree on. What is tougher and more important in a democracy is to figure out what we can agree on and to go get that done. And I say to Governor Hogan tonight, if we find something we agree on, I look forward to going to get that done. You know, we have an opportunity. I'm just going to speak from the heart here. I came into this race as a movement leader, and I'll go out of this race as a movement leader. The people in this room, the volunteers who...
All right, we are listening to Ben Jealous give his concession speech, but we are now going to take you to Towson, where Johnny O is giving his victory speech.
Together we did things that people didn't think were possible, and now our campaign to build a better Baltimore County is a movement to build a better Baltimore County. Earlier this evening, I received a gracious call from Al Redmer. Al, I want to commend you and your team who put so much into this race. I commend you for your lifetime of service to the residents, not just of Baltimore County, but the state of Maryland. Campaigns require a lot of sacrifice, and no one is asked to sacrifice more than a candidate's family. So please join me by thanking my family, both on stage and in the audience, for joining me on this incredible journey. Thank you to my dad, Johnny O. Sr., for pushing me in the Orange Crush all the way through this election, no matter how hard things got. My father and my mother, Sherry, deserve a lot of credit for all they've done for me. Always sacrificing, leading by example and service, and showing me what true love is all about. Mom and Dad, I love you. Thank you. To my brothers, Justin and Jordan, to their families, to my grandparents, Bertie and Frank, my in-laws, John and Kathy, to all the aunts, uncles, and cousins, and every other family member here, thank you for all the ways that you've been there for me and always believing in what we're doing. But I also have to extend my thanks to our new extended family. Thank you first and foremost to someone who's become a brother to me. Thank you to my campaign manager, Tucker Kavanaugh. Tucker led the way to the closest victory in Maryland's history, following it up with another big win tonight. Thank you, Tucker. Thank you to our amazing team, our unstoppable fellows, and every single volunteer who joined us along the way. All of you, and I mean that all of you are part of that extended family now too. I will be forever grateful for your sacrifice, and we should all be proud of what we've accomplished. But most of all, thank you to my wife, Marissa, and my daughter, Daria. Marissa, I feel so fortunate to be your husband. You are one of the most courageous, kind, and caring people I know. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me and for fighting alongside with me every single step of the way. And Daria, my little girl, Daddy loves you so much. You inspire me to be a better person every day. You're full of love, you're funny, and I think as some people learned tonight, you're a pretty good dancer too. Daria reminds me that there are tens of thousands of children just like her every day across Baltimore County that I now have an obligation to fight for. And she reminds me that we have a responsibility to make sure that every child grows up in a better Baltimore County. Friends, our journey has taken us across our great county from Randallstown to Rocky Point and everywhere in between. And we've done this together. We've done it by building a diverse coalition that reflects the collective strength of our county and who we are as a people. We've done it by affirming that every child, every person, and every neighborhood in Baltimore County matters. We've done it by listening, visiting community groups, places of worship, knocking on doors, calling voters, and staffing booths at fairs and festivals. We've done this by being present and remembering that relationship matters. And we've done it by pushing people to imagine what is possible, never ever settling for the way things are. Because we know that with God, all things are possible. In this moment, I want to give him thanks for the opportunity to show his love to the people of Baltimore County and beyond. That's what building a better Baltimore County means. Well, tonight marks the end of our campaign's journey, but it's also the celebration of the first step of our next journey, one that brings our better Baltimore County to life. We will lead a responsible, transparent, and open government. We will remember that public service demands the highest levels.
All right, thanks for joining us. Johnny O there giving his victory speech tonight, being elected as the new Baltimore County Executive.
And you saw Don Moeller, who took over after the death of Kevin Kamenetz, there in the crowd, and also Dutch Rupersberger, a former Baltimore County executive, and Johnny O, a former teacher and delegate, now the head of Baltimore County government. How about that?
Surrounded by his families and friends, talking about the people that he's met along the campaign trail, and now he's looking forward to being responsible for making sure that all the children in Baltimore County get the education they deserve.
All right, we've had cut-ins, we've had Facebook Live for you all night long, and now let's bring you the latest results tonight. First to the historic race for governor. It's all over.
Right. Larry Hogan beat Ben Jealous for a second term. He's the first Republican governor to win a second term in Maryland since 1954.
Yeah, that was Theodore McKeldin, and Larry Hogan beat Ben Jealous, and it was convincing in some parts, but in all told, it was 57% to 41% for Ben Jealous.
And then the Baltimore County Executive. We opened up with Johnny O giving his victory speech, beating Al Redmer for that seat. Talked about his family, talked about people he met along the campaign trail, and looking forward to taking over the role as a county executive of Baltimore County.
There it is, 57% to 43%. So when you thought that Larry Hogan, who did very well in Baltimore County, you thought that Al Redmer may be riding the coattails. It didn't happen.
Didn't necessarily happen.
Let's go to the West in Annapolis. WMAR-TV News' Mallory Sofaste and Skylar Henry are there covering Governor Hogan's celebration tonight.
Well, the celebration actually started very early on.
Yeah, it did, guys, and it's just wrapping up now, but a historic night. In his words, a seemingly impossible mission. Governor Larry Hogan is now the state's second Republican governor to win re-election ever.
Yeah, and the governor talked about a lot of different things during his acceptance speech, notably talking about how in this deep blue state, where there was supposed to be a big blue wave across the country, he somehow managed to ride his purple surfboard to victory here tonight. The governor shaking hands throughout the entire crowd. He's actually still over there shaking hands with some of his supporters. And what he made mention of when we did get a chance to speak with him was just about bipartisanship, how this isn't something an election about the right and the left, but more so about the state coming together for a common vision of seeing a better Maryland, and that's something that he's kind of held on to for this entire campaign, and ultimately we saw that come out in a victory here tonight.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that the political climate isn't too dissimilar from what it was when he first took office. He reminded us 4 years ago, he said, the politics that divided our nation need not divide our state. Maryland has always been a state of middle temperament, and we do have some sound from him speaking just a few moments ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, hundreds of thousands of Democrats reaffirmed the wisdom of John F. Kennedy, who said, sometimes party loyalty demands too much. And to all those Democrats and independents who crossed over and cast their votes for me, I see some of them out there tonight. Let me assure you that I will continue to be a governor for all Marylanders.
So there you go, another 4 years for Maryland's 62nd governor.
Absolutely, a governor who's focused on everything from transportation to the economy to making sure that kids get all of the funding that they deserve and need to make sure that they have the best education possible. This governor has made a track record of doing things to make sure that all of these areas have some quality attention, and he's hoping to do that heading into the next 4 years.
Yeah, looking forward, a number of issues that will still be top of mind, including education, the heroin epidemic, and violent crime.
Yeah, so this would be an interesting 4 years as we get ready to see what Governor Hogan will do next. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Skylar and Mallory. 9:09 was when it was called, but Ben Jealous just coming out not too long ago to give his concession speech. He said that he called the governor, told him that he wished him the best of luck, and he also said that it's easier to disagree than agree when you're dealing with politics.
He's still speaking. Let's listen in.
Because we, the educators, the nurses, we, the working people of Maryland, we, those of us who yearn to live in a place where we are defined truly by the content of our character and our collective yearning for our children to live a better life and our seniors to be able to retire in dignity, we came into this room together, movement builders. And we leave together, movement builders. And let's go build the movement that makes the future of Maryland come faster. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, Ben Jealous wrapping up there saying we need to continue to build on this movement that we've started here in the state of Maryland.
And Ben did very well in Prince George's, did very well in Montgomery, did very well in Baltimore City, but lost in Baltimore County. That may have been the sealed the deal. All right, let's go to Baltimore County right now where Eddie Kadam is standing by. He's covering Johnny O tonight. Johnny just finished up his victory speech.
Yeah, they just got done talking here. Johnny O thanking everybody that was on stage with him, everybody that supported him throughout this process. And as he said several times throughout the night, the last election, he only won by 17 votes. So he was taking his time to get out here as the numbers started to pour in. He consistently had a lead, even from starting at the 5% of the precincts reporting. Right now, everybody's celebrating. Go, Johnny, go. It's been playing on the stereos all night tonight, and right now he's on stage with some of his biggest supporters and fans. He was thanking his family, his wife, his young daughter, and telling them that it doesn't end here. Of course, this is just the beginning. He now plans on making a brighter future for all of the children, including his own daughter, and looking out into the crowd saying he's seen so many children just like her that he's looking forward to helping. Of course, he was a teacher, member of the school board here in Baltimore County, and that has been his platform throughout his education, hoping to bring in $2 billion to help with education reform, increase salaries for teachers, and many other things that he's been working on and plans to continue to work on for Baltimore County education. And right now, he's celebrating. The party is on here. And we're going to talk to him in a little bit, but very, very excited. The first thing he said was, "We did it." For now, live in Towson, Eddie Kadam, WMAR-2 News.
All right, Eddie Kadam, thanks a lot for the report. Al Redmer losing tonight, giving his concession speech, and ABC2's WMAR-2 News' Nadia Singh there live in Nottingham with Al Redmer tonight and his reaction to the campaign and his thoughtful comments about his supporters tonight. Let's go to Nadia live now.
Kelly, an emotional night here in Nottingham, as you just said. Al Redmer conceding to Johnny Olszewski. He's here with me right now. Mr. Redmer, can you talk to me about what's on your heart and mind right now? You have your whole family behind you.
Well, certainly I'm disappointed. You know, we spent well over a year presenting our case to the citizens of Baltimore County, but at the end of the day, they made an informed, educated decision, and I congratulated Johnny O, and it's back to work for me.
And you had mentioned that you were a Hogan candidate as well. Can you talk about, you said you were happy that at least he won through double campaigning?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the election of Governor Hogan for a second term, I believe, is critical to the well-being of the state of Maryland. And I'm looking forward to working as a member of his cabinet for the remainder of this term and seeing what I can do to help him in the next.
And you said that, you know, you've already been a politician. You've been a state delegate. You're the state's insurance commissioner. This isn't the end of your political run.
Well, you know, this was not a political aspiration. I viewed this as an opportunity to serve my county as I wrap up a lifetime of public service. And yeah, we'll just continue doing what I can do to.
Commissioner, what went wrong with this race?
Thank you. That was Al Redmer. He just conceded to Johnny Olszewski. An emotional night here in Nottingham. I'm going to send it back to you, Jamie and Kelly.
All right, Nadia Singh, thanks for that live report out there. Well, you know, it was a tough day for anybody who went to the polls earlier.
Yeah, really tough. Let's check in now with meteorologist Mike Taylor on when we can expect a break from this weather.
We'll finally get a break going into the day tomorrow, but the atmosphere is still saturated. A cold front's pushing through, and it's producing some fog out there. Some locations along the I-95 corridor near Joppa, Abingdon, as well as Bowley's Quarter, starting to see some very dense fog, and that's going to be a problem into the morning tomorrow. This is just south of Falston, but I expect more patchy foggy spots out there. As far as the radar, we are all clear. Nothing to speak of as far as the showers and also the mostly cloudy conditions. Cold front moving right off the coast. And that's going to set the stage for a much nicer day for tomorrow. So 46 for your overnight low. Like I mentioned, areas of fog will be out there. Clearing skies. Your wake up forecast looks good. Once we can clear out the fog, the sunshine returns. Coming up in that forecast, we'll talk about some cooler days ahead and more rain. Out the full details coming up.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back with a look at some of the other races today.